African experience outside of Africa is actually more complicated than being in Africa, because you're questioned about your belonging. Where do you belong? Continuously. The positives are the fact that being an outsider, you can sort of be detached from any sort of situation that's happening in your host country. But I think we have to discredit the glamour of the West, because it's not a glamorous place at all. It's a very brutal place. The United States and Canada, Australia, and Europe, that has a brutal colonial histories that are starting to be unearthed right now. So I think being an African outside of Africa is a complicated affair, because you have to have a root system. You don't have a root system from back home, a point of reference. It's very easy to get lost. And, it's a contradiction, but also interesting conundrum that these countries, this part of the so-called European New World, I call, or Marimba Ani calls, New Europe, is that these are territories that were taken by force, that had genocide, profound genocide, which is Canada, United States, Latin America, as well as everywhere, the whole world. In fact, the whole global South was colonized, and so that baggage, you've got your own baggage from your own colonial, and you walk into another baggage of a colonial trauma. So it's a very, it can be isolating. And so what you have to do as an African abroad is that you've got to try and plug into all the other African communities that already exist. And then what you do is you have to decolonize your mind. For me, it started with, of course, reading. I Write What I Like by C. Biko, which led to me being in Cry Freedom. And then from that point in time, I could only represent, and I only wanted to represent the African story. So I think young people have when they go abroad, they have this, they've been given so much propaganda and illusions about the positives and the benefits and the opportunities in the West. But that's an illusion. There are no opportunities where you're going to have to compromise your sense of self. So it's really important that I think young people know that they're going into a space that is not hospitable to their black skin. The oldest saying comes from Kemet, which is know thyself. Without that, everything that you're doing is a total waste of time if you don't take the effort to know who you are. And that is done first from a spiritual perspective, where you have to make a connection with your ancestors, and then you just continue to speak their name, and it builds you up, and it makes you very articulate. You never need notes really to speak about it, because it's coming from your heart. So I just advise young people to take the time to go back home to the village, because this might be the last generation of older generation that will be able to have access to certain types of information.